Hello, this short webinar is titled The 25 Philosophical Questions Answered Without the Declaration of Independence. What I am going to do in this webinar is go through the 25 questions as if the Declaration of Independence did not exist and see what kind of answers would be produced if that was the fact. And the question it will really raise from a different angle is the Declaration all that important? I was teaching a class one time, and early student that had not really explored the Declaration very much said the Declaration is simply that, a declaration. It's simply declaring our freedom from Great Britain, nothing more. Well, we'll take a look at if that's the case. So if these philosophical questions are answered without the Declaration of Independence, we kind of also need to remove the God factor too and answer these same questions without a belief in God. So how would these questions be answered without God and without the Declaration? Well, here's how we might explore that. What higher law than human government has authority? None. In other words, the government's the highest authority. What higher power does a person appeal to? Well, the only people or person, the only power that people can apply to is the state. Is there universal truth? No. How can these truths be known? Well, they cannot be known if there's nothing that's universally true. What's the origin of man? Evolved. Where does equality come from? The groups fighting for it. And so it becomes a battle of rights and a battle of groups to fight for equality. There's not a universal authority to appeal to. Where do rights come from? The state. Where do rights not come from? Well, they don't come from God if God doesn't exist or he's irrelevant. Can these rights be revoked? Yes, if the state chooses. What are the primary rights of all humankind? Well, whatever the state says they are. What's the purpose of government? Whatever those in power say it is. Where does the authority of government come from? Those that are in power. Who is the government accountable to? Well, maybe the people, if the people can organize and resist, but more than likely the government's accountable to those that buy off the leaders. When does a government become illegitimate? Never. That's kind of an irrelevant question, because what would you even measure good government against? Who has the right to abolish or alter government? Only the people in power do. What considerations need to be made before a change is enacted? Well, I'm not sure what this question means if there's nothing that says what good government is. How do you know when to abolish or change a government? Again, the answer is not sure. What is tyranny and despotism? What? It's not talked about. What do you mean tyranny or despotism? Why is it a duty to overthrow a despotic government? What's despotism? Who's appealed to for help? The people only have themselves. Who's acknowledged as the ultimate judge of intents and actions? The leaders serve as their own judges and do what is right in their own eyes. Who holds the people and rulers accountable? No one. Who would the signers have looked to for protection? Well, they probably would have been self-reliance or only looked to other countries. What would have become of the pledge that was made to pursue these ideals? Well, they probably would not have made this pledge because, as we saw in the last webinar, it was their reliance on God that even caused them to make that pledge. What would the results of this pledge have been? They would have not made these sacrifices. And so if you remove the Declaration of Independence as a philosophical anchor that's ultimately anchored from God in the equation, I think it's reasonable to believe that you'd have to be forced to answer the questions as I've done here. My name's Craig Seibert. I hope this little path of taking a look at alternative answers without the Declaration has further clarified the importance of the Declaration of Independence.